My name is Danae Carson.
My name is Ollie Shannon.
My name is Ty.
All right. Well, my name is Bristol Varley.
And I am a biology major with an ecology emphasis.
I'm an anthropology major with a Native American Studies minor, and I'm also studying to do a Spanish intermediate certificate.
I am an anthropology major. I'm non-binary, trans-masculine, and I use they, them, or he, him pronouns.
I use both pronouns in my life depending on the situation and what I might be doing.
I identify as a female, and my preferred pronouns are she, her, hers.
I identify as gender queer or non-binary, depending on who I'm talking to, and my pronouns are they, them, theirs.
Some people will refer to me with male pronouns. Some people will refer to me with female pronouns. I'm comfortable with both.
So I was allowed to experiment with who I was as a person, and I've been so grateful for that. I never really understood like different traditional gender roles, and so I never strictly adhered to them. As I grew up a little bit more, I realized that I definitely didn't fit the model of what a cisgendered woman would be, and I learned to embrace that, and I couldn't be happier.
When I was younger, I didn't know anybody who was gender fluid or gender queer, and I always felt not really comfortable in either of those, masculine or feminine. Like, I always felt like I was both or in between or all of the things. So exploring that and learning about that was difficult, but also really important. And then as I got older and became like more sure of myself and was like, well, this is who I am, and like maybe nobody else is like this. That's fine. Like, I'll figure it out. But then I did meet a lot of other people who fall, kind of either in the same place or similar, either in between or all, which is really interesting for me. That whole idea of in between or both, like neither or both, is very similar, I think, on the spectrum, for me anyways.
I grew up being bullied on playgrounds, in classrooms, and watching teachers turn their back.
I've never had a teacher ask for preferred pronouns or preferred name for students, because oftentimes they do not have the name that you prefer to go by on the roster.
On one of the first days of class, someone had made a comment in a language class about pronouns because certain languages have issues with not having such inclusive pronouns as English, and it's harder to translate into. And someone made an offhanded comment about, like, what do we do for all these newfangled trans pronouns? Because, like, okay, first of all, not cool. Second of all, the teacher just kind of, like, laughed it off. But I'm still not out in that department because of that interaction.
Sometimes it is really, really hard, and really makes you feel really vulnerable, especially in classrooms. The anthropology department where I'm at mostly is pretty good, but I have taken classes in other departments that are bigger and don't know me, as well, and that's a little more difficult. So I'm taking Spanish right now, which is really hard because it's so gendered, and trying to figure out like how to do that and how to navigate that situation is difficult. I know that there's my previous Spanish teacher at CWI really understood and knew about like gender neutral Spanish, which involves like Latinx. If you've seen that, that is something that is gender neutral, and I don't know my Spanish teacher here well enough really to say anything about that. So mostly I just switch between feminine and masculine endings, and he mostly doesn't correct me, so that's good.
It depends on where you are on campus. campus. Certain places are definitely going to be more welcoming than others. For example, we've got the Gender Equity Center, which is super welcoming.
Had a really hard time at first getting my ID changed and having the correct name on my ID and having the correct name in my role. The head of the Gender Equity Center is amazing. Adrian helped me, which was really great because I had tried to go and get that switched and got a lot of pushback, and was at a panel where I was talking about being non-binary and genderqueer, and Adrian was like, well, we'll fix that, I can fix it. And I kind of didn't believe her, I'm not gonna lie, it's usually so much harder than that. But I went in and she advocated for me and was like, nope, we're doing this right now. This is how you do it. Took me around, did all the things. And that was really great and really helpful. Because having the wrong name on my email is awkward and weird and just not fun, right? So that was super helpful and great. So I think one of the biggest things that comes to mind is first, talking about queer people in history, they exist and have existed forever, and that's really important to acknowledge that there are queer people in history and that there most likely are people who are within your area, within your class.
Use pronouns that they want you to be using for them. Use the names that they want you to be using for them. Try and be understanding of different people and where they are coming from.
If there are gender queer kids that make it here to the university, we want to be reaching out to them and saying, I see you and you're safe in my classroom. And we want to be creating those spaces where they can be seen and they can ask questions and they can feel safe and have an opportunity like they've never had before in a classroom. And teachers play a huge role in that.
In one of my classes, I had a professor who took a chance and had a very brave conversation in the classroom about two-spirit people in Native culture. It's a Native class that I'm taking, and she did lots of research and basically started it with saying, okay, this is really important for us to know about. I don't know everything, and I'm probably going to make mistakes, and you're probably going to make mistakes, but let's do this together and figure it out. And that was super amazing. And I thanked her after having that conversation, along with another student in my class who is non-binary as well. So those conversations may seem little and they may seem really scary, but they're really important.
Well, if they could just not encourage the bigoted behavior, I think that's a really great starting point. Part of helping people like us out. Showing respect where respect is due. It's basic human interaction.
Things that I look for in the university, in the classrooms, I like to know that teachers have been to some kind of diversity training. I'll look for safe space stickers on their office. I'll look for any kind of poster that might, signs that might have, a message of gender equality or some kind of acknowledgement of queer people. And do you have a preferred name? Do you have, which pronoun do you use? Those are questions that should be asked. We should practice asking them. Having conversations that might include diversity, conversations that might include complicated subjects, conversations that are going to challenge you to think in a way that maybe you're not used to. And I would expect the teacher to have written rules and to verbally say that we're going to have these conversations and we're going to do it in a safe space, in a safe way.
Or at the College of Western Idaho, I had an anthropology professor who I had known for like a week and was in 2 of her classes, come up to me after class, like super respectfully, and just ask me what pronouns I used. And that had never happened, ever, in the school setting before, ever. It like made me cry in the best way possible, and made me feel like super safe in her classroom and super seen, I guess is the right word, like not invisible. So I think that that is one thing that is really important for professors to do, is to acknowledge that they see their students who are not binary, or who are queer in their classroom, that they see them and that they know that they exist and that they deserve their identities to be respected. That's a huge deal.
Be patient with yourself and be patient with your students, and always create a safe space by correcting students that are being rude and gently correcting students who are misusing pronouns and misusing their dead name.
For me, what I really want people to know is that it's not about the mistake. It's about what happens in that first 3 seconds after you make the mistake. Taking a breath, admitting the mistake, and then moving on. Those are important things that need to happen, and acknowledgement is key.
And as long as you're willing to learn from and grow in those mistakes, I'd be way happier to be a learning experience for someone than for them to be all like, oh, haha, whatever, and blow it off. I don't want to make a huge deal out of it, and I think that's something that a lot of gender nonconforming folks, they don't want to make a huge deal out of it. And so as long as you learn from what we're saying,
Respect it, acknowledge it, and move on. Don't let linger on it. Don't be like, oh my god, I'm so sorry I called you she. I'm so sorry. I feel so bad I called you she. Like, just say, I'm sorry, correct your sentence, acknowledge it, move on, and work your absolute best for the rest of the conversation, the rest of the time you know this person. Don't make it awkward. They already experience awkward. They're not going to stop coming to your class unless you consistently do that.
So for me personally, people make mistakes. Like, that happens, and that's okay. Like, it's okay to make mistakes as long as you are like thoughtful about that mistake, right? If somebody misgenders me, I usually say, hey, these are, if I know them well, this is actually the pronouns that I use, and leave it at that. Like, it's not scary. People make mistakes, and that's how everybody learns. And being able to talk about that. And if somebody who is one of your students or one of your friends corrects you and says, hey, actually I use these pronouns, that's a big deal. Like, that means that they really trust you and that they really feel safe around you, to say those things. At least that's how I feel. That there are going to be mistakes, and that's okay. We need to learn how to move forward from those mistakes and learn from those mistakes. But the fact that they exist is not horrific. It's not a horrible, terrible thing. It's actually a great thing.
Teachers have a very important role. Students look up to you and they expect you to guide them, not only in classroom learning, but also in life. Show those students that you really care and you really put effort in.
No, there's some people that don't identify as both or neither, but whatever. It's complicated fun time.
There are document studies that show that one teacher reaching out one time to a student and saying, I see you and I value you, can be the difference of whether that student stays and gets their degree or whether they leave.